Day of sparkling winter sunshine. It'll cloud over a little from the west. There may just be one or two scattered showers, but for most, Friday looks dry and fine. Temperatures close to average, but the winds won't be as strong on Friday, but certainly it'll be a cold and frosty start. The weather warnings are all on the Met Office website if you want more details.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good evening, I'm Simon Evans. In just a moment, it'll be time for Headliners, the show where we take a look at what's in Thursday's newspapers. But first, the latest news.
Very good evening, I'm Polly Middlehurst in the GB newsroom. And the top story today, the Prime Minister says he expects to end all coronavirus restrictions, including the need for people to self-isolate a month early in England. Boris Johnson told MPs today he's going to present the government's Living with COVID plan after parliamentary recess later this month.
Provided the current encouraging trends in the data continue, it is my expectation that we will be able to end the last domestic restrictions, including the legal requirement to self-isolate if you test positive, a full month early.
Boris Johnson. Police investigating lockdown parties in Downing Street are to send out questionnaires to more than 50 people believed to have attended. It comes as Met officers are reviewing whether a Christmas online quiz at number 10 may have breached coronavirus restrictions after a new image emerged, published by the Daily Mirror newspaper, showing the Prime Minister alongside 3 staff members and a bottle of sparkling wine. It happened in December 20, at a time when there was a ban on indoor social mixing between households. 1,000 British troops are being put on standby in case of a humanitarian crisis in Eastern Europe. Downing Street says they're being placed on readiness amid continuing fears of a Russian invasion into Ukraine. That comes as Boris Johnson travels to Poland to meet its Prime Minister and its President to reassure key NATO allies about the UK's support. Russia has deployed more than 100,000 troops near the Ukrainian border, but denies it's planning an incursion. Here, a man serving life in prison for killing his fiancée has been found guilty of murdering his wife 6 years earlier. 61-year-old Ian Stewart killed the children's author Helen Bailey at their home in Hertfordshire in 2016. After that conviction, police decided to investigate the 2010 death of Stewart's first wife Diane Stewart in Cambridgeshire. Detective Superintendent Jerome Kent, who led the investigation, said Stewart showed no remorse. And the cats belonging to West Ham footballer Kurt Zouma are now in the care of the RSPCA. Zouma apologised yesterday after a video surfaced online of him kicking and slapping his cats. The RSPCA say they're investigating the incident. West Ham, meanwhile, has fined the player, and the sportswear firm Adidas has ended its sponsorship deal with him. A powerful drug combination for breast cancer could save thousands of lives, according to results from a new study. Research found if a drug called Keytruda is given in combination with chemotherapy, it can reduce the chance of the disease coming back. Experts say it could save as many as 10,000 lives every year. On TV, online and on your radio via DAB+, you're with GB News. Now time for Headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. Joining me tonight are the curiously flexible Scott Capurro and the rigidly brilliant Steve N. Allen. That's what it says up there. I've no idea what they have in mind, whether they want a physical demonstration. You're in for demonstrating some brilliance tonight, Steve.
Oh,
You've got a couple of stories which are right in your wheelhouse. I don't know if anything falls in your wheelhouse tonight, Scott.
We'll see. If it falls, I'll grab it because I'm flexible, apparently.
Yeah, that's probably what they had in mind. You're going to have to work around Steve's rigid but impressive brilliance when it comes through. So the top story, well, we'll go through the papers and have a look what's on the front page of all of them. We start with the Times this evening, and this is Prime Minister among 50 set to be questioned by police, and there is a picture of Liz Truss there standing in what looks a little bit like some sort of candy mountain, but is in fact, I think, St Basil's Cathedral in the Red Square, judging by the familiar sort of hat and coat combo that British politicians always wear when they visit Moscow. Whilst the Mail leads with England tears up COVID rules and leads the world. And why I've stuck with Wayne. I thought that was why I'm stuck with Wayne initially. I don't know, probably the same story either way. Telegraph is police will contact 50 number 10 partygoers, and also a picture of Liz Truss in Moscow again. Independent now, scientists warning on early to COVID rules and early end to COVID rules, and Johnson confronted by new party claims. We'll be taking a look at that later. Wednesday's Guardian also going with the COVID rules to be abolished in England in a fortnight, it says. Financial Times have gone with US regulator moves to strengthen disclosure rules for private funds. The Metro are going with the end of COVID restrictions, and there's Wayne Rooney's missus once again. And Fab 21st PM signals all COVID restrictions may go a month early, including self-isolation. So, those are the stories. Let's dive in. So let's start with this, the Times story, which is the Prime Minister is among 50 set to be questioned by the police. Who's got this one?
Yeah, I can start us off there. It's a great number, isn't it? He's going to be one of 50. Being questioned seems more fun than it's going to be. They're going to be sent a questionnaire, like when you've bought something off Amazon.
Yes.
And
how was your experience of the party? From 10, very satisfied?
Smiley face to smiley face with messed up hair. But Boris Johnson expects to be one of the 50 to be quizzed by police. They love a quiz. We know that about them. The only problem is these questionnaires have a formal legal status, and those receiving them will be required to answer truthfully. Not necessarily his wheelhouse.
No.
So it leaves him in a bit of a difficult situation. Possibly could get a fixed penalty fine for it. This is also mixed in with a lot of the coverage about the picture of this Christmas quiz, which had Prosecco, according to one newspaper, and tinsel. Now, straight away you think, should we care about this?
Yeah.
And I mean, probably not.
Not care that it's tatty and a bit shoddy and a bit sort of cheap. You know?
Well, it looked like it might have been Veuve Clicquot, actually.
Oh, was it?
I'm just saying.
Veuve Clicquot.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
A decent champagne. I was surprised, impressed, actually. You know.
Yeah, I would hope to see proper champagne. It almost seems to be disrespectful to our French NATO allies across the water at this troubling time. You don't want to start using.
The picture's not shocking because I suppose most people look at Boris Johnson and presume he's had a drink.
Yeah.
He has that look about him. Yeah. It's more about the fact that
I saw him cycling through London at about 10 a.m. several years ago. I think it might even have been in his mayoral days, and he looked as if he was on his way home from an all-nighter. He really did. It was absolute state he was in, yeah. It never left me that.
So, yeah, it's not a surprise, right, that he partied over the holidays, but there were restrictions, weren't there?
Yes. Yeah.
They weren't meant to do it, and it's against the rules and all that, so.
The question is, again, as it always is to me, were they organising parties or were they introducing alcohol into a pre-existing work environment? Which is still naughty, possibly, but not quite as...
This was a quiz, though, wasn't it?
Exactly. So unless you're really good at... I mean, he could come up with questions off the top of his head, like, who wants a contract for PPE? With those kind of questions, we need to look into it. But questions makes me think planning.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us say, oh, you know, why go after him? Most of us bent the rules anyway, or a lot of people did, I guess. Some got caught. Maybe he did now. I don't know. It just seems like this is something the police didn't want to investigate. They didn't think it was important enough. But now because the photo came out, they think, oh, I guess we have to investigate this now after.
Yeah, there has been a lot of building pressure, and I think it's been a question of trying to read the mood of the country rather than lead from the front with what might be right or appropriate or legal, isn't it?
At first it seemed like Dame Dick was his friend, and now I'm not sure. Now I think she's distancing herself a bit.
Well, she's been protected to some extent too, hasn't she, by the party? There's been to and fro. But I've been slightly surprised just how strong the feeling is. I have to, even I have had to try and read the mood in my own house, because I was under the impression that we had a certain kind of laissez-faire attitude to
But it's not about the tinsel, it's not about the drink, it's about the, if you're going to make a rule, stick to it.
Yeah.
If you don't like the rule, don't make it, and then don't stick to it.
It's also about Dominic Cummings wanting him out of office.
It's that, isn't it? That's, I mean, that's the thing that I do slightly wonder if people have registered that sufficiently. I know some people have, clearly, but the extent to which this is a party political game.
And it seems as though he's had a strategy, and he's releasing these photos one by one, and he keeps saying, I've got better photos than those, here's a better one. And I think he's trying to draw out the angst the public feels. He's afraid if he releases everything once, the public will get bored and want to move on. So he's keeping the story alive.
Yeah. He's a criminal.
I'd love to. I wish he was managing my act. I wouldn't be here. I'd be playing O2. But yeah,
he's his photograph gallery and his phone. Which one shall I lounging around?
Brilliant. He's someone you want to get drunk with at the holidays.
Yeah.
All the stuff he could
yes
show you.
And no. Yes and no.
Yeah, because he'll take pictures and he'll keep them. He'll never work again.
Yeah.
Thursday's Daily Mail are leading with England leading the world with ending COVID restrictions, and this is on quite a few of the pages, front pages.
Yes.
Scott, this is unalloyed good news, isn't it?
We're number one.
Yes,
because apparently, if, as Boris says, the current encouraging trends in the data continue, we're going to end restrictions a full month early. So he intends to end them after the Commons returns from its recess on the 21st of February, sometime around the 24th. He wants these restrictions to end completely.
Yeah.
What it does mean is that travel restrictions will not change.
Oh, really? Because they're not under his remit, is that right?
I think that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
And he'd like them to, but they won't. And any need, though, for self-isolation after traveling will remain in place. But everything else, including opening up venues and pubs and everything else.
I mean, I travel, because we're in London, I travel on the tube quite a bit. I imagine you guys do too as well. I know technically, perhaps, I should say, in fact, the rules are that you still have to wear a face covering.
Yeah.
Many people are not doing so.
Right.
I would say perhaps half are still, no more than half, I would say, on the lines I see. It's very hard to police when it gets to that kind of level, isn't it?
It is, and when I'm with my husband, I do wear one because he's such a bossy Brazilian. But sometimes when I'm on my own, I just remove it, and it feels so nice.
Yeah.
And I like having people sneer at me.
A Brazilian would understand that.
You would think so?
You would think so.
Yeah, people do sneer at you a bit, and they fold their arms, but I'm used to that look from an audience, so it's nothing new for me.
Yeah, this is it. We have thick, leathery skin after 20 years in the game.
that. Yeah, exactly.
What about Steve?
Well, I mean, firstly, imagine what else we could be given if there are more Partygate stories they need to try and displace from the front pages.
Yeah.
Unicorns for everyone. But I would have thought this would be the last thing to go. We surely, one step before we're done, is everyone who's not got the virus is free to do whatever, but if you test positive for it, just keep away from people. Now, it is still going to be in the guidance. The guideline is that if you test positive, they'd like you to stay at home. It's not just a legal restriction.
Right.
I'd love that to be like a saying for anything you've got that's contagious.
Yeah.
Do the honour of just keeping it to yourself for a week.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, I don't know. It's very difficult, isn't it, though, because if it has come down to the level where if you've been vaccinated, if you've got the booster, and you're of a reasonable age and you're not sort of carrying comorbidities, to put it politely, then it's like a cold. And nobody used to say you've got a cold, you've got to self-isolate.
No, but maybe they should, not legally, but there should be less of this, oh, I trooped on and turned up to work and licked the phone and now everyone's caught it.
Yeah.
It should be just, we should be...
Should not lick the phone, then.
Oh, is that...
Not licking the phone.
That's what I've been doing.
Well, that used to be a thing, obviously, in the old days, when you have to lick the phone to get it started in the morning. But that's... Now we all have our own individual phones. You would think that would be, you know...
Lick it all you like, can't you? That's how I do the fingerprint bit. Yeah.
That's how I met my husband. It is strange, though. You know, it wasn't long after all this started that I was like, how long are we going to be stuck in the house? It's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm just like, I don't care if Granny dies, I'm going for a drink. I just feel that way.
Some people, though, I had a message from a friend in America, in LA, who used to be a party-loving a rock drummer in a band. He says he's hardly been to a bar. It's a guy I was at school with, and he got a nice job over there as an acoustic engineer.
Oh.
He's got his own home office. He says he hasn't been in a bar or a theatre or any kind of live entertainment venue for 2 years. He's just stopped going to them. He just
That's
thinks
called
it's
rehab.
not worth it.
That's why he's in rehab.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Time finally running out for Boris. Even billionaire donors seem to think so. What is this all about? Steve, you've got this.
Yeah, bad news because money's involved. So this billionaire Tory donor has refused to give any more donations while ever Boris is in charge, saying that that Boris now has no moral authority. Now, to be fair to Boris Johnson, surely the lack of moral authority was very much baked in. That phrase that they used in 2019, it's not like anyone was thinking, he seems like an upstanding man who's never lied, let's go for this tick. So that's...
Basically, what they hired him as a chimp or an orangutan who was prepared to drive the car through the sort of flaming hoops of burning oil or whatever that emerged from Brexit.
That he'd created.
He was always, exactly.
Yeah,
but he was only ever going to be that, wasn't he? I think initially, I mean, they must all be thinking it's about time we jettison him now anyway.
I'm amazed that he's still going with the "we got Brexit done" catchphrase. He should want to double back over it and go, oh, there's still a bit left to do.
Yes.
That's the only reason they're going to keep him there. They wanted to bring that up some more. But so this guy, this hedge fund boss, John Armitage, has given more than £500,000 to Mr Johnson, or to the Tories. By the way, it buys a lot of wallpaper. I mean, not that much. Well, if you shop where he shops.
Not enough.
And then since the end of 2020, he's given nothing to the Conservatives and even donated just over 12 grand to Labour. Oh, that's a scorned act.
12 grand, that's like flicking a silver florin out the back of his cab.
He's a lot to us Northerners.
But he's been angry for quite some time then, really, before the COVID started. So it's not just the COVID
Sounds
reaction.
that way a little bit, yes. What do you think? Should we be taking our cues from billionaire donors?
I think we do, anyway.
It's just opportunistic, but I can't blame you.
I think that's kind of the game. I wonder if he has any suggestions of anyone he'd like to see in that position. Maybe himself.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got the money. Why not hire
Well,
me?
you know, he's obviously a kind of sugar daddy mentality, isn't it? That he feels that he's calling the shots and he should be.
Also, with millionaires and billionaires, aren't they statistically more likely to be psychopaths? So if you're
millionaires are just people who live in North London. Now,
that's true, but still, it's the way they drive. But for billionaires, for you to be not moral enough for someone who's statistically more likely to have psychopathy, it's a bad sign.
Ruthless, though. Pressure for Police Chief Cressida Dick. You referred to this earlier, Scott, but she's in trouble herself.
Yes, Dame Dick is having a bad day.
Right? No, not Sajid. Sorry, Sadiq Khan is good. Yes.
Yes, he's got it out for her. It sounds like he's increasing pressure on Dame Cressida Dick by threatening to withdraw his support for her unless she comes up with a quick, effective plan to tackle sexism, racism, and cultural problems within the Metropolitan Police.
We've been covering these for the last few weeks. There was a flurry of them, almost as if they were all being organised of somebody of a Cummings-level intellect had released these
They
stories.
seem to come from the Charing Cross Metropolitan Branch, apparently.
Right.
And there were some sexist and racist tweets that were sent out shamelessly, and she seems to have lost control over that. There's already a problem after the Clapham Common Vigil, where women were kind of handled badly by police.
Were they tweets or were they WhatsApp messages? I know it's a subtle distinction, but did some of them leak out into the public domain?
That's
or were
that's a question my 19-year-old nephew would ask me.
I think so, but
yeah, I should know the answer. And I did wonder if the mayor has that much power over this position.
Apparently, it's an unsustainable position if he's not happy. That's
it is. Priti Patel
yeah.
appoints a person and then goes to him and asks him his feelings.
It's run very much along the lines of a Dirty Harry movie.
A little bit, yeah.
I got the commissioner breathing down the back of my neck. Harry, the mayor's up for re-election this month, and you have a nasty habit of killing
We've
people.
got a killer that's going to keep twittering because he likes it. Yeah. So I think there's the mood though is shifting by the public toward the police, and they're feeling apparently it says less. More minority groups like LGBT people and women are feeling less protected and less safe. I was walking through Hackney today, going to the farm, as you do, to buy my milk. And I'll let that sit for a minute. And I passed 2 police officers on bikes, and they said hello Sunday morning, and they were very nice and friendly. I think if you're nice to them, they're nice back.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's
I
my
think
strategy.
That's the way we should treat them, a little bit like dogs that have been beaten by their first owner. I do quite like the fact that Sadiq Khan is taking some responsibility for the police force in London, because there has been a sort of sense that he's just shrugged about it until now. I mean, the number of killings, of stabbings, he's not too worried about, but the fact that some bad photographs are being shared in the off hours. What do you think? This is what's going to get his gander up?
It's dander, isn't it?
Gander or dander? Sue's for the dander.
But I think there are people who have a natural predisposition to not like Sadiq Khan, and I think you take a step back and realise he's just saying that she should come up with a plan to deal with it. But also the same people who don't like Sadiq Khan also don't like Cressida Dick, so they must have had a terrible day.
Yeah, that's true. But although imagining those 2 people in an office together having an uncomfortable meeting, that cheers me up.
I think every meeting with him is uncomfortable. He wants 14 of the officers to be let go. He doesn't want to pay for them anymore.
14?
Yes. That's how many he's
many
counted.
out of London, is it?
Yes.
That's not going to save him
14
much money.
I think 14 bad apples isn't bad for about how many? There must be 20,000
But you've got to whip them out quickly, haven't you, if you see them. So, an answer to the energy crisis. This is the one we were referring to. Steve, you have some sort of familiarity with the principle of fusion, I believe.
I'm so excited about this. It's a nuclear story, but as you say, it's the good one. It's fusion. It's not the type of nuclear energy that gives us X-Men. I believe that's science. There's an Oxfordshire facility, this joint European tourist, that has managed to make the most amount of energy from nuclear fusion, a total of 59 megajoules.
Woo! Which is enough to boil a kettle continuously for 11 hours.
11 hours.
Get you.
Now,
that's amazing.
That makes me realise this is not written by a scientist, because don't boil a kettle for 11 hours.
That would be a waste of your megajoules.
Yeah, the water's not going to get any hotter. That is a function of the system. But hopefully it means that we can have plentiful, free, clean energy that will be used to mine for Bitcoin, and the rest of us will be back using gas.
Apparently, instead of atoms splitting, they conjoin. They gather together.
Yes.
Instead of fighting, they work together.
Fusion, that's right. Whereas fission is the split, and fusion.
Sweet fact about it: the things that you put together weigh more than the thing that comes out the other end. That difference in mass is turned into energy via everyone's favourite equation. Energy equals the mass times speed of light squared equals mc squared.
All right. Fantastic. So this is as foretold by Einstein.
Yeah.
He would have been very proud, wouldn't he? Yeah. So what, 10, 20 years away before we can all rip out our electricity meters because it's all just too cheap to worry about?
I mean, this has really not made the scientists predict that it's any quicker, but it is a step towards it. It still cost more energy than it gave out, so this would be a waste of time.
What I liked when I read the story in the Times was that this takes place, as you say, in the joint European torus, which is a donut, that's right, we have like concern. But a professor from Cambridge acknowledged that it had been a significant breakthrough. I was thinking that really means something, doesn't it, to the guys in Oxford? Yeah. Hands across the fence.
No need for a boat race this year.
No, that's right. No, I think it's fantastic. I am genuinely quite proud of that because, you know, there is a tendency to think that Britain's a slightly shoddy nation which is past its best and slipping down the rankings, but that's a significant scientific achievement. Really.
And you've got a lot of smart people who are very well educated who've not been achieving very much lately, so this is nice for them too. A nice flower in their lip.
Came through with the AstraZeneca vaccine as well. We're really putting that
American money, but you did all right with that too.
I might go and live in Oxford among the clever people. Yeah. I think it's nice. Yeah, exactly. There is that high murder rate, though, of course. Yeah. That's right. It led me to remember that. Folks, we've reached the end of part one. We're going to take a break now. Join us for part two in just a moment. In the meantime, these are our sponsors. Please buy their goods and services. Thank you.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
That you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headline. As a reminder, our comedic panel this evening, Scott Capurro and Steve N. Allen. So we've exploited Steve's scientific credentials. Let's see if we can exploit Scott's flexibility in the next
All right.
Thursday's Sun. More developments on this West Ham player who mistook his cat for a football. This is a disturbing story, although I can't help feeling it might be slightly spiralling out of control now as well.
Like the cat.
Yeah.
I think Kurt Happy Zouma. Is
that his actual name?
His name's Happy. His middle name. And he is. I wrote down all the teams he plays for and all that stuff. I'm so proud of myself.
West Ham.
West Ham. Yes, he's a West Ham ace. He's been fined £250,000, 2 weeks of his wages actually, and dropped from the squad over a vile video he filmed in an Essex home. And if you watch it, he's chasing the cat around his house and he kicks it.
I saw the one that I watched. It was quite hard to track down on Twitter. It took me nearly a minute.
A lot of
somebody actually posted the whole thing. But essentially, he walks into what I mean. It's quite a decent-sized house, obviously, sort of open plan. I can't.
He's chasing it around his dining table.
It's sort of in exactly the same way that they would be in my home. But he walks into what looks like a sort of open plan dining room kitchen area, and he drop kicks the cat. He drops it and then hoofs it.
Yeah.
But I would say, I don't want to get like an avalanche of hate mail myself. It's not for a professional footballer, it's about a 1 or a 2, mate. You know what I mean? He's like...
Is he dribbling the cat?
He's sort of...
And he's laughing the whole time.
Yeah, he's not really trying to damage the cat.
It's quite awful to see. When you watch it, if you can find one where the clips have been left
I found it upsetting.
Yeah.
Are you all right? All I'm saying is it wasn't like... He didn't kind of really sky the thing. Do you know what I mean? He didn't.
But what's odd, I think
it could have been worse. Doesn't mean it's not bad.
Right, exactly. And what's odd to the RSPCA, as I think to a lot of people, is why did he film it and why was it released? And he's laughing, and his friends are laughing.
Well, he didn't film it, right?
I don't know.
Family presumably filmed it. He's got the cat in his hands.
He's not physically filming it, but why did he allow it to be filmed and allow it to be released? It's as if he has no shame or problem with what he did.
My presumption is, I don't know who it was, but maybe it was his son or someone filmed it. And then shared it with their friends, thinking it was funny, and one of their friends thought, this isn't funny, I'm going to share it with
I'm sure it was innocently shared. I'm sure no one had any cryptic, motive, but that's also a bit odd that they think that this behaviour is okay. Yeah. And the RSPCA is saying it's not okay, he's got to be punished, so they've removed his cat.
It's absolutely not okay, but Steve, what do you think? £250,000 fine. I know to him that's 2 weeks' wages, but really, there is an extraordinary amount of violence that goes on in this country and that goes relatively unpunished against other human beings. But do you think that is disproportionate?
Not a criminal fine, though, is it? It's a fine because of the privilege
a signalling fine.
Yeah, the situation he found himself in, you know, if you're going to earn that much money each week, maybe you should act better than the kind of low piece of...
I think he's I agree. I think he's a role model, and they're trying to say that you especially have a responsibility. You can't behave this way. The team, not just him, he's lost sponsorship, but the team has lost 2 sponsors as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Adidas have withdrawn sponsorship.
Yeah,
Adidas, who other people on social media have pointed out, hunt and shoot and kill and skin kangaroos for a special line of football boots that they make.
You've got to draw the line somewhere.
Yes. But not a little kitty.
I think the fine, it's good. He should lose some money. It's only fair that he gets hit in the kitty.
Well, the money's going to be donated to...
If I allowed you to get to the end of that, I should have interceded there.
Waiting for
Come
that.
in with a
It's been donated to an animals charity, which is sweet.
Listen, RSPCA have taken the cats away. Should that be an end to it now, do you think, or does he need to go on a reprogramming weekend himself?
Yeah, he's done a teary apology, and he's been pulled from the field. I think that's enough for now. Yeah.
Thursday's Telegraph. Is Adele a new culture warrior for announcing out loud that she's quite happy with her cisgender status, that she's quite happy with being a woman and winning as a woman, not just as a sort of neutralised artist?
But she won an award.
Yes.
And then said, I'm really happy to be a woman or enjoy being a woman. All of these things are not controversial until you try and put them together in what they're calling the gender neutral Brits, just because they've got a category that's best artist.
Yeah.
And it used to be best male, best female.
Yeah.
But why
is it just saving them on brass? Why have they done that?
If we can all get home quicker, award ceremony should be trimmed down.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Best thing. Right. Anyway.
But why should there be, in a singing category, best male, best female? It's not as if there's any inherent advantage. In sports, you can make the good reason for it.
Yeah.
But it's really patronising to presume that you need separate categories. Otherwise, the men would trounce the women. Not at all. Look what happened. Adele won. There were 3 men. Ed Sheeran was one of the other nominees, and there was a female rapper called Little Sims, which I believe is what you put in the new iPhone.
Yeah. Are there still categories for, like, rock and rap and I don't know, R&B or whatever, or is it just best song, best album, best artist?
They still have the genre ones.
They can really slim it down if they keep going, can't they?
Just one award, really.
Yeah, best noise.
Yeah, most money made. That's it. And she'd win that too.
Yeah, she probably would. What do you think?
I saw the clip, and I thought it was great that she said it, and the audience cheered her when she said it.
Yeah.
That she's proud and happy to be a woman, happy to be a female artist. And I'm not quite sure what she thinks about being kind of thrown together with all these male artists in the same category. I do think that artists prefer some gender differentiation in presentation because it gives artists more awards and makes more money for everybody.
Yeah, that's
the whole point of it anyway.
I struggle to also, I would say, identify my feelings entirely, just a sense that a certain graceful kind of differentiation that just is, it just feels nicer somehow to kind of go best female artist, best male artist.
It's not saying one is better than the other, one category.
I am struggling to explain it. Maybe it's just what I've grown up with and what I'm used to, but it does feel a little bit pinched and miserly to just go best, best singer.
Best from that group, just throw it to them, yeah. I mean, the Comedy Awards years ago made it just, a gender-neutral award up in Edinburgh.
That's true.
I think people really were shocked by that because I think the way female and male artists express themselves is different. And I think they require a different sort of, category because of what they do, really. So...
Historically, I think it would be fair to say that labels put a bit more money behind male artists. There was perhaps a little bit more expectations that they would do well because it was quite often the case you would see an artist like Madonna and she would always be like most successful female artist ever, as if it was taken for granted that she wouldn't be competing with Elvis Presley. But that does feel a bit antiquated, that kind of idea.
Adele's been the highest earning entertainer every year for all the years. She must be the richest person ever by now. But rather than being the richest woman ever, which you're right, brings with it this hideous kind of patronising implication of, probably the other category did better. No, have one.
So nobody, just to be clear, nobody has actually sort of attacked her for this from the left. None of this sort of trans activists or whatever. I don't know who would it be, but
there's some stuff on social media, but I don't think that's the point. I think what's happened here is she said, "I enjoy being a woman," whilst winning a category that includes women.
Fantastic. OK, let's smooth that over. The average cost to rent a house in the UK is nearly £1,000. There should surely be some sort of time period attached to that statistic to make sense of it. I'm going to assume that's a month. Something's got to give, hasn't it, Scott? Is it £1,000 a month to rent a house?
The average is up 8.3% in the final 3 months of last year to rent a house in England. And renters around the UK are now paying about £62 more each month than before the pandemic, taking the average monthly rent to £969.
So I'm going to assume that a lot of people in London are thinking bargain.
Yeah,
exactly. £1,000 for a whole house. I mean, there are people who pay that for a room, I think, in some areas.
Actually, rents in the capital are kind of leveled out because they went so far down during the pandemic. So just in London alone, they have kind of leveled. Okay. But in other parts of the country, in Wales in particular, rents are way up, and Northern Ireland as well. So, and so is the cost of buying a house way up. And I think it's all part of the inflationary kind of, struggle that people are dealing with right now.
I think we've all had a sense for a long time. I've been a house owner since about 2000, and with my wife, we got married about 2003, so a sort of proper house owner. There's always a sense that house prices are too high. But if you actually, I've looked at a graph quite recently because you keep an eye on these things. There's a sort of steady line that curves upwards that sort of maps the general trend. House prices generally are slightly below that. I mean, in 2008, just before the crash, they were like soaring above it. It was unsustainable. They're now just slightly below that line. So actually the idea that house prices are always rocketing out of control, interest rates remain very, very low historically. It shouldn't actually be beyond the wit of people to get onto, and yet somehow they're not able to. I don't know what it is.
It's a multiplier, isn't it? I mean, ultimately it comes from supply and demand issues. More people wanting to live alone, no more houses. That's bad maths. But also it's the multiplier of how many times your salary you need to borrow to get it. So even if the houses aren't going up by a massive percent, they're already out of reach.
They're inching away all the time. So what is the solution then?
Don't watch Netflix and don't buy coffee. Those people who say that, I'm not sure how much...
Avocado mash.
How much their local barista is ripping them off.
A lot. Like £10 a day. It's insane. Yeah. But no, also I think rent accounts for about 37% of the average single person's income. And if they're spending much money on rent already, it's difficult for them to save for a home. So it's kind of a vicious...
So basically, COVID offered us the solution, didn't it? Yeah, would have freed up a lot of old people's houses. But,
the inheritance down for the deposit.
Lockdown, absolutely. Disgraceful. The Times are reporting that the BBC are to look into why women seem to be criminalised for non-payment of licence fees at a greater rate than men. I assume it's not simply because they fail to pay them, if this is a story.
There's two stats, I think, here. It breaks down to 76%. Women make up 76% of TV licence fee convictions, and it's the most common offence for which women are convicted. Those stats need to be separated out, because the first one, why are you prosecuting more women than men? Are there men waiting to be prosecuted who haven't been? That would show an issue. But the most common offence that women are doing, if we work really hard, we could get these women to commit more crimes to really bring some equality to these statistics.
Yes.
That one seems meaningless.
Yes, I would agree with that. Is that how you see it?
It appears as though women are caught more. They're at home more often than men. That seems to be the reason.
Is that how they're actually literally physically caught?
Yep.
Honestly, they're
handcuffed and taken
and door more.
And there's a woman who's fighting this through the Public Law Project. She was almost convicted, and she said because of all sorts of different circumstances it was unfair, and the government law dropped the conviction, and now she's trying to make more notice of what she went through. It was a huge struggle for her.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Single mother, she tried to pay, she couldn't try to get them on the phone, they accused her, all this horrible stuff happened.
Yeah.
I would say the tech might solve this. There are some technical issues, but if you could just make it encrypted so that if you don't pay, you don't get, no one's going to prison then.
But the trouble is, if you need a TV licence to own a television, don't you? They're still slightly stuck in that kind of pre-Netflix, pre-internet, pre-satellite era. The notion of what it is you're paying for. You're
I was wondering about
BBC channels. You're paying for the
right to receive.
Yeah.
But it is
which
true.
is unsustainable, isn't it?
If you don't pay for HBO, you don't get HBO, and I'm like, what's the shtick? How do they get away with that?
Yeah.
If they could just kind of match that with the BBC.
From years and years and years ago, when it was, I think, one of the glories of the world. I would probably put it above the NHS, to be honest, in terms of the cultural impact and the achievement of the BBC.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic thing, and it was wonderful. But the pieces just don't fit together now, do they?
The tech would still work, though, even if it wasn't just depriving you of the BBC if you didn't pay it. If everything was encrypted and you didn't pay this bill, you could get rid of all free-to-air channels on the encryption. I'm just saying, whilst that seems draconian, no one ends up in jail. It seems ridiculous that you could be threatened with jail time because you didn't pay a bill.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, obviously, this is a big ongoing conversation. I am horrified when I add up the number of things that I pay for just to come in. Like we have a Sky package at home, and then I have YouTube Premium to avoid paying ads on that, and Spotify. I mean, it is unbelievable, and it just creeps up and up the whole time. And I do kind of feel that it would be good if there was some sort of distribute. Do you know what I mean? If you could just kind of get like some sort of package that just went.
You could just stop watching all.
Just stop having all this stuff.
Crack a book.
Are you mad? I have a book subscription. The Guardian have a story on wild swimming. For the middle of February. I mean, in principle, is this your flexibility?
I swam outdoors today. I love swimming outside.
Did you really?
I did. I really enjoyed it.
Hampstead Ponds?
I was at London Fields. It's a beautiful outdoor pool, and they keep it really nice. And outdoor swimming is one of the great joys of living, actually, if you can do it. And the Thames it's there, and people want access to it. And there's a lot of wild swimmers in this country who would like more access, and there's huge bodies of water in this country, and a very small amount of it's available.
So what's happening? Is this legislation?
It's the local pressure group has applied for bathing water status for a stretch of the Thames through Oxford.
Right.
It's the Wolvercote Mill Stream at Park Meadow in Oxford, and they've asked for another area of bathing off the Isle of Wight coast. Part of what this is about, too, is it's a group called Sewage Free Thames, and these groups are trying to clean the waters, and they think if they can get swimming rights in them, that the government will have to go in and clean them, because so much sewage. One statistic I read is about in 2020, raw sewage was released into the upper Thames for nearly 50,000 hours, which makes the river obviously untenable for a swimmer. So they want to just clean up the water and get people in there.
Another good reason to move to Oxford, Steve.
Yeah, until that nuclear reaction goes off and you become Aquaman.
Quite nice and warm, the runoff from the Taurus, I would imagine, after they've heated all those kettles up.
I wonder why it was on for that long, to an entire river. I used to live by the Thames, but in Gravesend. And
Did you swim?
Well, that bit of water is a delightfully frothy brown, so I wouldn't.
But didn't David Williams swam through it, and he did?
Oh yeah,
he did all right with it.
No, he didn't. He was horribly ill afterwards.
He was ill afterwards.
Yeah, he was. God, that was absolutely disgusting.
A great effort though, and fun to watch on camera.
Yes, very impressive. And then next year, John Bishop gave himself piles cycling through France. That whole sports aid thing is nothing to do with sport. It's just enduring medieval.
And he is hard, slimmed down, doing all that running. That was amazing.
He did 52 marathons.
Incredible.
Again, it's absurd. It's nothing to do with fitness. He was.
He stay home and watch TV the way you do.
His toes were coming off. It was like some Burmese jail in the Second World War. Part 2 is coming to an end. The weather is next, then some ads. Join us for Part 3. See you then.
Hello, I'm Alex Deakin. Welcome to your latest update from the Met Office. Some wintry weather across Scotland, strong winds and some snow flurries as well. And across Northern Ireland, it could turn quite icy tonight. There's a cold front across the south of England. That's bringing a bit of rain and drizzle here and there. But it's further north where we've got the cold air already, and the combination of these weather fronts and this area of low pressure that could bring some pretty nasty conditions to parts of Scotland. We do have Met Office yellow warnings in place. Snow and strong winds combining to make blizzards. So some pretty grim travelling conditions across Scotland, travel disruption possible, and ice is a big hazard across Northern Ireland, where the showers will continue here. Elsewhere, apart from a bit of drizzle on the south coast, most of England and Wales will be dry, not quite as mild as recent nights, but still for most above freezing. But the wintry weather will still be there in the morning across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Ice for Northern Ireland, a combination of strong winds and snow across parts of Scotland, particularly the higher routes. Some travel disruption likely, but even through the central belt, it will get very windy, and the winds themselves could cause some disruption. But certainly the combination of snow and strong winds making for some pretty grim travelling conditions during Thursday. A few showers will affect northern England, where it will also be blustery. Much of the south dry and bright. Temperatures around average, feeling colder in the south compared to recent days, and certainly feeling colder with the winds across Scotland and northeast England, which will slowly ease during the course of the night, and then with clear skies and lighter winds, it's going to turn frosty for pretty much all of us as we head into Friday. Still some wintry showers in the far north, so it could be icy here on Friday morning, but For many places, Friday's a day of sparkling winter sunshine. It'll cloud over a little from the west. There may just be 1 or 2 scattered showers, but for most, Friday looks dry and fine. Temperatures close to average, but the winds won't be as strong on Friday, but certainly it'll be a cold and frosty start. The weather warnings are all on the Met Office website if you want more details.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
That you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
And welcome back to Headliners. I'm Simon Evans. We have our comedic panel here, Scott Capurro and Steve N. Allen. So Thursday's Mirror is next, an fish and chip shop which has caused a couple to sell their home. That doesn't sound very patriotic of them.
No, they've had to sell it for much less as well. So a couple built a 4-foot fence out to try and stop people who were queuing for this chip shop. 4 foot? What was this?
Queuing across their lawn or something?
They were getting in the way. So their house, it's worth knowing, didn't used to be a house. It was the shop next door to the chip shop.
Oh,
it used to be
okay.
a sweet shop. They converted it to a home.
I see.
People were just queuing right past. So they put a little fence up. It upset the neighbours. And then we also need to add into the fact that one of the neighbours, I'm presuming neighbours, turned up with an air gun and aimed it at the couple. There was some disruption, because no one takes an air gun to the chip shop, do they? I can presume
That's like an old saying, isn't it? Never take an air gun to a chip shop. It's like, what?
So then this has been going on for a while. The fence that we're talking about was only up for like a couple of weeks because it was taken down after the air gun altercation. My favourite part of the story is this bizarre dispute was branded fence gate by locals. No,
fence gate.
You're not allowed that because it's too confusing, because a fence gate is a gate and a fence.
Yes.
No one's going to say Watergate.
Did you say it was in Alnwick? Is that right, in Northumberland?
Yes, it's up in Alnwick, in Northumberland.
Yeah, I asked because I'm gigging there in a couple of weeks. I've got a tour date up in Alnwick.
Don't mention
actually
the
in
chip
Alnwick.
shop.
So, well, I might just get there early so I can go and investigate.
Just walk on stage. The chips. One couple walk
Got to
out.
be 5 minutes in that. What do you think, Scott? This is I'm kind of team chip shop here. Really.
Oh right.
I think if you move in next door to a chip shop, you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
A little bit. I think I just want to see a photo of how the fence was built.
Yeah.
Block their entryway. It sounds like a health and safety issue, but I can imagine.
I would put spikes on the pavement. That would have been.
Yeah, that would have been good. Right. Or poison the chips.
Yeah.
Or the fish. But I think it's probably the noise at around 11 o'clock, isn't it? That's what annoyed them the most.
Maybe just have a large angry dog chained up outside.
Yeah. Or just change your schedule.
Yeah.
Try to join in.
Yeah,
It's
that's it. It's
community.
always better to work with the grain of these situations, isn't it?
Yeah. Or invest in the business. They're probably doing well. They're doing better than you are because you've gone. They won.
Queuing up outside.
Just
Maybe
stand-
reopen the sweet shop.
Or just stand one of those charity muggers out their side, and everyone will avoid that. Stand with a clipboard. You've got it sorted.
You probably don't even need a real one, just like they have cardboard policemen in petrol stations. Just have a cardboard chugger. Nice story from Thursday's Times. This one I do like. This is a bored security guard has defaced some, not priceless, but valuable modern art.
A security guard who had just been hired recently, 60 years old, his first day.
Was he 60 years old as well? Fantastic.
First day on the job at this art gallery in Yekaterinburg, the fourth largest city in Russia. Who'd heard of it? Well, there it is.
Wow.
The Russians hide a lot from us, but not this story. It was this painting by Anna Leporskaya called Three Figures, done in the 1930s. It was on display at the Yeltsin Center in the city center, and he drew eyes on two of the heads.
And the picture there that we can see is with the eyes.
Yes,
right?
with a pen. He took a ballpoint pen out of his pocket.
I think they look quite cute.
I think they're the best thing about the painting, actually.
There's the original now. You can see the original now.
Yeah, there you go.
I think they need eyes.
I think they do too. The original is that a large head in the front? It's hard to say what any of it is until the eyes are.
They sort of look like fruit. People, I think drawing eyes onto things is a very human instinct.
Yes.
What isn't human is defacing eyes. There are posters on the underground that people put stickers over the eyes and that sort of thing.
Or cross them or make them look.
That's
weird.
That's
but I think this was his artistic vision. I think he was just joining in. Apparently, though, the fine and the punishment is quite intense. He faces a fine of the equivalent of £738,000 for a painting worth about 1/10 of that. And he's up to a year of correctional labor in a camp.
Just going around with Tipp-Ex. Getting rid of the eyes.
Or 3 months in prison. It's quite a lot, isn't it, for a postcard painting?
Just get her to paint over it.
I think she's dead. But
oh, really?
But
Somebody can.
The art might have killed her, actually, if you look at that painting.
What do you think, Steve? Is that a funny story, or is priceless art being defaced?
No, it's not. Is it? If anything, it's being faced. That's what
it's being faced, exactly. Undefaced. Refaced. Thursday's Daily Star are reporting on a strange smell emanating from the depths of Melton Mowbray. I assume it's pork pies, but no, apparently not.
Yeah, there's an issue in that area because they smell onion. They've smelled onion before. This is the case.
Yeah.
The stinking onion.
Right.
Complicated case, got many layers. We'll have that done. But so the worry is that no one knows where it's coming from.
That's your lot.
Oh, there it is. I think we've done all the onion-related puns. So the worry is no one knows where it's coming from. They've got environmental officers to investigate, but there's a website that's been it's a Facebook page where they've been posting, I often smell various smelly things. One person commented, I often smell it on the afternoon school run in the doctor's lane near the cemetery. You're near a cemetery, it could be worse. Count your lucky stars.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe they've used an onion smell to disguise some of the less pleasant aromas that were otherwise fouling the air.
But now you've brought the officials in. If it's one person who's a bit stinky and they were thinking, never mind, you daren't fess up to it now because they've got the authorities.
You think it could be somebody's body odour?
It could be.
I suppose it is, isn't it? Onion smell might be a nice way of saying
Do you smell onions when you're about to have a stroke? Or
no, that's toast, isn't it?
Oh, right.
I think onion is the classic bad breath, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah.
But,
that's the nice thing about the mask.
They're not saying it's that, right? No.
But also, when you're walking in the woods, I think the smell of wild garlic is more oniony than garlic.
Yeah. But when you say the worry is, I was waiting to hear what the worry might be. Is there something sinister that smells of onions?
No, I don't think
it's just onions.
Yeah, it could be.
It's going to be some
They got to the bottom of it, and there's a pile of onions.
Well, good luck with it. Up next, the Daily Mail. And should cider be cancelled, Scott? This is... Is it Thatchers Cider? You think the Thatcher element would have been more controversial?
I thought so too. When I started reading this story, that's what I thought this was about. But it's a woke movement in Bristol has decided that Thatchers Cider is too much traced back to their countering Colston melee, where they're trying to get rid of any...
the chap with the statue.
The statue was pitched into the water. Those four young people who had been found guilty for, kind of captaining that have been let off, found innocent.
They were found not guilty.
They were found not guilty.
Yes.
And the countering Colston group has continued, and they see that, I think, what happened to those four as encouraging them to do more. So they've gone after a heartless brand called Thatchers Cider. The activists are angry because the fourth-generation cider maker, Martin, who's running the company now, is a member of the Society of Merchant Ventures, which is a charitable organization now that's dedicated to educating the care of elderly.
But until late 2019, it was actually slave running off the coast of Algeria.
It was in the transatlantic slavery business. And if you go on their website, apparently they're like, hey, you know, come on, everybody makes mistakes. And I mean, we didn't know them, but anyway, if you go on their website, they will be on. They tell you what they're doing now with their money, and
they're still redistributing money that they made doing that.
They are, and they're very honest about their past. And this guy who's new at this, he's only been with this society since 2012. He's a relatively new member, has said, look, you guys, let me off the
This
hook.
is the Thatcher Cider guy.
Yes, Martin. Yeah, he's asking for the public to kind of, you know, not forgive, and not forget definitely, but to understand what the situation was like then in the 17th century and what they're doing now.
It's amazing they've still got money to distribute, though, isn't it?
It's incredible. I think cider's made a huge comeback over the last decade, actually. People really like it. And this brand is very popular. And these kids are asking people just to ban the use of it. Don't buy it. There's other drinks you
Well, the fact that it's
have.
called Thatcher Cider is actually quite convenient in that respect, then. You can
It's got two brands.
I like, to be honest, no nonsense.
But apparently Bristol University is also, on top of this, offering guidance to people on how to address those who identify as cats. So there's that going on.
I think you tell them to keep away from West Ham players.
You do. The surprise recognition is you say meow to them.
Oh, right.
If they're cat identified. Just so you two know. If you
meow.
Yes.
Is that their pronoun? Me.
Yeah, me.
Me is the object, but I is the subject.
This could be our final story. I'm surprised it wasn't our top story. This is from the Daily Star. Second-hand sex dolls.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Isn't it strange how normally with second-hand things, these days we euphemistically say previously loved, but in this story it makes it worse.
Prefer to say second-hand. Although I suppose if it's got a second-hand, that's quite handy.
Used would sound bad too, though, wouldn't it?
There's no good way around this. So apparently people are buying these dolls online for a fraction of the price.
Wow.
Because, you know,
Are they just the regular old-fashioned dolls, like the stag party sort of blow-up dolls, or are they more like the Android type?
It's more the Android ones. I love the idea of going on eBay, getting the blow-up one, puncture repair kit, bargain. It's the ones that are very...
It's not a patch, it's a beauty spot.
But these are more advanced than I am, because some of them have got real human hair.
They
which,
do.
you know, I'm having it rubbed in my face now.
So to speak, yeah. So, I mean, you can order what you want, actually, apparently. And some of these are made in Japan, so they're perfectly formed, and they mail them to your house within 3 days. They show up on your doorstep, and there you have something that doesn't talk back. It sounds lovely.
And they are, but they can talk back, right?
If you want them to.
They're programmed. I remember when I first got into sales, about 1987.
The story worries me already.
Telephone ad sales, and they said, if you're struggling to make contact with somebody, if you're struggling to build rapport, here's a trick that the girls in the champagne bars, you know, the dive bars, what do they call them? The rip-off bars. That was a word for that.
Poker homes.
Well, yeah, but that kind of thing, yeah. So you go down into a bar and you're a wealthy businessman, you're a bit drunk, and a girl comes up to you and she wants to chat, but she doesn't know who you are. The trick is you just repeat the last 3 words that the man says to you.
Oh, right.
So if I say that to you, you go, the last 3 words. That's right, Scott, the last 3 words. And that helps the conversation to flow. Helps the conversation to flow. Yeah, exactly. And you just keep repeating. Right. And it's extraordinary how many men apparently will
respond well to that.
And just kind of go, finally, a woman is listening to me and finds me fascinating.
I did have a doll given to me for a birthday. I did a benefit performance for this kind of store that sells those sort of things in San Francisco, obviously.
Yeah.
And as the payment, they gave me a doll.
An Android?
Something like that, yeah. And I'm like, I would never. Yeah. 3 days later, I called a friend and said, "Come get this thing out of my house." I'm about to get married again. I get it out of my house. So yeah, they're very.
They work their way. I remember there was one on Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby on that show this morning, is it? And they had a fellow was sitting there with his sex doll and his wife on the couch.
Oh right.
And she was becoming integrated into the household, and she even read the kids' bedtime stories, apparently.
It's fantastic.
Integrated into the household. She also links with Google and can do your thermostat.
I bet she does, absolutely.
Pays all the bills for the shopping. I think that's great.
But she probably does. She probably wanders around the house doing stuff like that. I don't know whether she walks around. I was thinking that there is that kind of, you need to have different modes and make sure she's on the right mode before she does the bedtime stories.
Yeah, then it's step for a while. You try to stab her and she says, I think we were friends. I thought we were friends. I think we were friends. Yeah, that's not Not a good look for the kids.
So from the Daily Mail, very quickly on this, nostalgia over parental rules. Did your parents have any interesting edicts, Scott?
Well, that's the thing. On Mumsnet, people have been sharing strange experiences from their childhood, like no talking at the dinner table or a bath only on Friday. My mother's rule was when she came home after a long week at work, a bit tipsy, she'd wake us up, rip open our closets and make us put them all back together again. That's a bit mommy dearest thing. It was strange. It happened almost about every month. Very clean closets.
Every month, a monthly routine.
Pretty much.
It's interesting in itself. Thank you so much to my panel, Scott Capurro and Stephen Ellen. I've been Simon Evans. This has been Headliners. Tomorrow night, my co-host Dominic Frisby will be in charge and he'll be joined by Eric McElroy and Nick Dixon. See you there.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and every weekday we bring you The Briefing live from 9:30 a.m. The stories, analysis, and live debate that you need to hear.
Quite right, Tom, of course.
Was this something that had been considered at all?
Difficult to answer.
Gas-guzzling helicopters circling. Noise is being made here.
Joe Biden walking out. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. on GB News.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11